KFUGLP Crescent City, 101.1 FM, online, kfugradio.org, 1 minute past 11. Local stuff right there. Dale Morgan, The Honest Earth. Before that, a double shot of the Alabama Shakes and some Jackie Wilson, Beatles, The Smiths, Billy Bragg and Wilco, and kicked off today's community service with some live stuff from Sonic Youth. Paul with you. Just Paul. It is, like I said, 1 minute after 11, joined live in the studio by the first of our guests today, Heidi Hufford Kime from the Crescent City City Council, among other things.
Good morning, Paul.
Which mic
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's first time. Thanks for coming in and talking about this.
Absolutely.
So initially, we started talking online about having you come in and discuss this after discuss this kind of an exchange you had when you were in front of the Board of Supervisors, and you had some words about civil discourse and about how more constructive ways to voice opinions, to interact with fellow people. Of course, that went and blew up, and there were all kinds of these crazy things going online and back and forth. But I just want to visit that message that you shared. I thought it was very important, and as we were talking before going live, I'm having a lot of trouble recently dealing with public discourse personally and keeping it all together. So, can you just kind of recap what the message was that you shared with the board?
The message I feel I was trying to convey is that as an elected official, especially, you have to share your opinions, your desire for change in a positive way. Whatever you want to do in this community, when you start calling people names and trying to bully them, I think is the term I used. I used cyberbullying, but it's actually, letters to the editor where you're saying horrible things about another member of your community. This is a small place. And if you don't like somebody, you don't have to be their friend, but you might need to work with them.
You have to be civil, or you'll end up standing next to them in line at the market,
Exactly. Exactly. And, we don't have a deep pond in which we swim here. So, if somebody needs a lifeline, it's important to throw that to them. Mm-hmm. And I had it. I was fed up, and this is just one of those things that we really need to take a look, not only at ourselves, but as a community, how we can. If you're unhappy about something, by all means, let's work together on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, exactly. Instead of just setting up a bunch of no's and a bunch of, you can't say that, you shouldn't be that way. Okay, well, then what way would you like us to be?
And I'm not saying don't say what you want. Mm-hmm. Just understand there are serious consequences for talking to other people like that.
Yeah, and you, on the city council, Mayor Pro Tem now, correct?
Yes, correct.
What are your responsibilities as Mayor Pro Tem? What do you have to do?
I'm not sure I have any additional responsibilities as Mayor Pro Tem.
You just sit in the chair when Blake's not in town?
I just sit in the chair when Blake's not there. And I am a part of the agenda review.
Okay.
So before the meetings, the mayor and myself and Martha Rice and Eric Weir now, mm-hmm. our new city manager, our new fabulous city manager.
And when he was appointed the interim city manager, I'm going, he needs to be the city manager. That dude knows so much and is so capable. Yeah, I've seen that time and again at meetings. So.
And, talk about the power of positivity.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I really feel good about the direction that we're going to be going. Mm-hmm. But that's about it. I'm not any more special than I was before.
Do you guys still do the potlucks? Somebody bring food. I thought at the beginning, because Alex was talking about how it was his turn one week to bring food.
Yes.
I thought that's a really cool thing.
We feed each other. We take turns and feed each other. And so it is kind of nice.
I guess potluck is a wrong term for something like that.
Yeah, I was thrown. Mm. Yeah. No, before the meeting, before our closed session, we gather whatever we're going to eat that night and meet in the closed session area and talk and eat and
I've always much preferred the vibe at city council meetings to the vibe at Board of Supervisors meetings.
Well, I have respect, even if I disagree with people. They have the right to their opinion, and we can agree to disagree, but I don't need to call you a jerk for it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you shared just before coming on Facebook on my page there. You shared a thing. It was a little video that I'd seen just a couple of days ago, just about the power of positivity. And people are going to go, you're being all namby-pamby, and you're doing. But it really, being negative really does affect the wiring and the neural trees and the pathways in your brain, and creates an habitual sort of negativity.
And, we talk about it in our school system. We now have the PBIS, the Positive Behavior. Oh, gosh, what's the IS?
I don't know what this is. I haven't heard of this.
It's a positive behavior instructional thing that they do at school. And so we're talking about ways to positively talk to our kids. Well, how about we talk about ways to positively talk to one another? And yeah, it is. You rewire your brain by just every day acknowledging one thing that you are thankful for. Start with one.
Yeah.
And see how your life changes. I believe in it firmly.
Make that a habit. On my iPod is always gratitude, the Beastie Boys, and it's just all right. Okay. And that sort of helps to center. So, lots of sitting in the council. You sort of are a lightning rod. I think to a lesser degree. I mean,
I'm a lightning rod.
Well, just being in a public forum where you're sitting at a thing and part of your day is to listen to people. So
Okay.
That's enough to set you up to get. I think the city council doesn't get quite as much as the board of supervisors does. It's not as divisive. What's it like on the council? I mean, everybody knows all about the board of supervisors and the splits and the things going on, but the council just sort of seems to be a much more cohesive group.
I think because of the level of respect we have for one another. There are a lot of positive things that are going on at this city. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're doing an employee spotlight every week.
Where does that happen?
And it's on Facebook. Okay. And our human resource manager, Sunny Valero, is spotlighting an employee every week.
That's cool.
And talking about them. I love it. I just love it. I feel really fortunate that being a city resident, owning a commercial building downtown, being a part of, I'll wear my diva hat for a moment, and being a part of a nonprofit, beautifying our downtown and revitalizing it. I come at it from a lot of different angles. So when I sit on the city council, I think of things from a business perspective. I think of things from the people that I know that are downtown and doing things. So I think that's where I sit on all of that. Blake is very good at talking to people. He's had 37 years of experience every Sunday. Darren grew up here, so he's been a volunteer firefighter and involved in a lot of community activities in that regard.
He's had a family, he's raised children here.
Sure, absolutely. And then Jason, I don't have as much background on Jason, but he is also college educated and works out at the prison and has... he's involved. He's involved in his community, doing a lot of, his wife is a member of the school board. So they're connected, they're learning. And then we have the wonderful Alex Fallman. He is amazingly bright for a 21-year-old man who hasn't had a ton of world experience. He has more objectivity than a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive, I have to say.
Very reasonable, yeah.
And so, by that token, I think the five of us lend a lot of different positions to the council, and I think we get along, for that reason.
Yeah, yeah. So, just personally, I don't want to get into personal life too much. You had you and Brad had an anniversary this week, correct?
Yes.
How many years?
19 years.
19. Congratulations.
Wednesday.
That's wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you and Brad see eye to eye politically?
You're Facebook friends with him, aren't you?
I know what kinds of things he said, and I know that one time, this was a couple of years ago. You actually, it was one of the first interactions we had on Facebook. I think you said Brad and I had gone back and forth about something, and you referred to him as being Team Negan. From Walking Dead. And I was like, oh no. And so I'm wondering if just what the sort of discourse is that you guys have, and if that informs your political discourse or public discourse as well.
What I think about Brad politically is that he reads and he researches lots of different angles of one position. So I really respect him in that way. He's definitely a libertarian or perhaps an anarchist. I'm not sure. Depends on the day. Depends on the discussion. I grew up in a very conservative Republican household. So I was a registered Republican most of my life. So Prop 215 was the big one between my dad and I.
Okay.
We were having discussions about marijuana. And I'm like, oh my God, I've come full circle.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
It's only been 20 years, or however long it's been. I think it's 25 years?
Mid-90s? Between 20 and 25, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was one of the first elections that I was old enough to vote in and have discussions at the dinner table with my parents. And by the way, they've seen the light and they think that, cannabis salve for their knees is just fine, So it's one of those things that I remember sitting there with my dad and he said, well, this is just a way for people to smoke pot. Maybe, but, you're sitting there drinking your martini. What's the difference,
And the people who wanted to smoke pot, legal or not, are going to smoke pot. So it's not like...
It's not like it's going to change anything. And the other thing is, we are surrounded by it now. So I don't see how banning it here is going to change or benefit in any way to the north, to the south, to the east.
It'll just reinforce black market here in Delaware County,
which I don't think would be a good thing.
So where does the city, everybody's talking county with cannabis, what's the city up to now? I know that there was I remember when you guys instituted the ban, you were way out ahead of the county as far as getting everything ready for Prop 64, but... Because
that was before my time, but I appreciate... the insight that the city council at the time had for that sort of thing, because then we don't have to deal with it right now until the county does what they're going to do. Then, the Planning Commission just passed a few things for cannabis. And that's great. They're moving forward with that. The city doesn't really have anywhere that we could, grow commercial.
Yeah, and those are the first things that the working group was working on. Were coming with setbacks for grows and things. Yeah. The
retail end of it, I don't want to see it on every street corner.
Is there room in the city to even have, with the restrictions as far as, closeness to schools and things like that? I mean, the city's so small.
The city is so small. You could probably have one or two. I don't know. It depends on what the Planning Commission comes up with.
Yeah.
So
the city's just sort of sitting back and waiting to see what the larger county is going to come up with. And
we're sitting back and I'm sure... The frustrating thing about the Brown Act is we can't all talk about it, so I don't really know what the rest of them are thinking.
This is a question I kind of had. Maybe I want to ask Chris this later today. Is the Brown Act a good thing?
I think it's one of those, government things that maybe it was well-intentioned, but the unintended consequences of government intervention aren't always a good thing.
Yeah.
So I believe that the Brown Act, in theory, can be a good thing, but it impedes discussion.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems like almost in a smaller setting like Delaware County that it really kind of gets in the way. When you are standing next to somebody in the line at the supermarket, or if there's more than two supervisors or city council members come together, you can't talk. And it just seems...
We can't talk. And it's frustrating because let's say a situation came up and I am really alarmed about something, and I happen to be sitting there with Alex Fallman. Okay, so Alex and I have just had this little chat about this, and now I can't talk to anybody else about it because that would be daisy chaining.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're just like, what? It's frustrating. It's frustrating, and it's good in the respect that you have to self-regulate and monitor your words, but it is bad in that we can have some open dialogue and discussion about this, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Maybe one person has more information about a topic than another, and we can't talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's just... There's
Because
just something
it's not
that
public.
It makes that just makes me cringe. It's like censoring in some way.
It is very much like censoring.
Oh, wow.
And so the way it works is that the staff brings forward information and the council sets policy. And people think that we have this, amazing power that we wield over this city, and it's not quite that.
Yeah. All right. Before we move away from city business and governmental things, I'd like to talk to you about the whole imbroglio over the last month or so with the trips to Japan, the financing of said trips, and ultimately whether or not it's even worthwhile to have a sister city relationship.
Okay.
So let's start with the funding. When people come and they're irate and they're pounding on they're doing the Nikita Khrushchev thing on the podium about the $45,000 it costs for everybody, I think, in this upcoming trip, right? And of course, it's not $45,000.
It's not.
More than half of the people are paying their own way, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you're going on this one?
I'm
you
not.
went? You went on the last one. You and Brad went to the last
Brad and I went on the last trip, and so...
Did the city pay for Brad? Yeah, I think I know the answer to that.
Brad paid for Brad. And
he had the most striking image on Facebook, and it was him standing at the base of the sign that had been underwater. I was, wow. That really brought it home.
And he said, the bus pulled over, and he said, hang on, I got to go take a picture. And we were like, what are you doing? Come on, we got to go. Come on, what's going on here? And he just had that vision. He wanted, because the whole time we were there, how are we going to convey this to our community? Wow. This was the topic of conversation the whole time.
Just what you were surrounded with, the devastation even after these years, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking and sad that we have what's going on here and the horrible, nasty things that are being said, and our earlier discussion, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. The Japanese Ministry of Tourism, so they have a completely different governmental system than we have. And so their Ministry of Tourism dedicated some funding to Rikuzen Takara for them to reach out to other communities and engage. Well, we had a boat that washed up here, and holy cow, look how far we've come. We had kids here, Bill Stevens, Colleen Parker, people here got that boat back to Japan. And in Japan, they're thinking, well, we don't want the boat. What the hell are we going to do with the boat? We can't even use that boat. They're so practical. And Amia Miller and her
Was that the initial
wisdom.
reaction? Is why are you giving us this boat back?
Some people.
Okay.
Some people.
It's hilarious.
And so they're in the middle of a crisis. They are up to their eyeballs in God knows what. Yeah, I mean, recovery. And it was quite stagnant for a long time. And so, in her infinite wisdom, Ms. Miller decided, well, of course we're going to take the boat. Of course. What are you talking about? We're going to take the boat. And from that moment, this friendship developed, the schools moved forward, their kids are here, our kids are there, you know, our Rotaries are getting involved. And it was a really feel-good, magical moment that's carried through several years later. And then the topic of how do we take this even further came up. And so the first trip that we went on, I said to Miss Miller, I said, oh, I'm a very effective communicator. No problem. I can bring this information home. And she looked at me and she said, I don't think so.
Why? Why?
I can't tell you why.
Okay.
Because it is that immense, Paul. You have to go there and see it to understand the magnitude.
Okay, so she was saying you will not, you just as a person going home and talking will not be able to communicate what it's like here, what we've gone through. God, no matter how great a communicator you are, right?
So that picture that you are talking about, that Brett, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? It was that massive. And so on the third trip, we're now going to have a reporter. Tony Reed is going. And I'm so excited that the triplicate and the pilot and the communications company that owns them has approved to pay for him to go. Because Tony's an amazing photographer.
Yeah.
I love looking at all of his pictures that he puts on social media and in our newspaper. And I think it's incredibly important. I think Kyle and Hannah, perhaps, they were the ones that said, you know, we're doing, you know, we're taking a lot of pictures here and we're, you know, documenting as much as we can. But I really feel a journalist coming on this trip would benefit tremendously.
Yeah.
And so I think that's true. And I look forward to what Tony can bring home. If you can imagine, and you don't want to imagine this because it would just be simply horrible. If you can imagine all of downtown, all of our city would just be gone.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, you can not just evacuating to Crescent Elk, getting up the hill there, but all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
And you know, they're in a little bit different situation. They're able to be a little bit more proactive in some of their preparations. In America, you know, we're a much more reactive society. You're not going to get that funding until, you know, after the disaster. And then you can be reimbursed by FEMA and that sort of thing. So I think all of us knowing wherever we are standing at any given moment, because I said to my girlfriend, we were at lunch at the Crescent Seafood down there at the harbor. So delicious. Sorry, little
Giving
plug.
Lori a plug. Yeah. What do you...
I'm sorry. They're amazing.
Is this a Brown Act violation?
No. So we're at Crescent Seafood and we're having lunch, and I said, okay, let's say that it starts shaking right now. Where do we go?
Yeah.
What do we do? So just having these conversations. Well, I don't know. Well, we wait for this shaking to stop. I said, well, yeah, let's get under the table till the shaking stops. Then what? Okay, well, we could run up Elk Valley because you can't get in your car.
Why not? If you're at Lori's, if you're at the...
If you're at the harbor, you can't get in your car. They'll be bumper to bumper.
I suppose. See, my initial reaction is if I'm there and it's shaking, then you drive south on 101 and get to the overlook. But that would involve driving south on 101 if that's even possible. Trees over, who knows? Right, yeah.
Who knows?
And local, if it's a local shake, then you've got just mere minutes before you're inundated. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, where would you go?
I guess I'd start running up Elk Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I'd run here.
Whalers Island? Don't run here. I lay awake at night going, where am I going to go?
I know. I would run down Elk Valley Road.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's what I would do if I was at the harbor. And so I sort of started thinking, okay, I need to have these conversations with my kids. Let's say my kids are at the beach playing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, what do you do? So we're having these little drills and, in our home discussions. And that picture of Brad, I'll go back to that picture of Brad. For a year, I tried to talk to Brad. We need rubber boots next to our bed. We need all of these things prepped. And he said, that's a waste of money. I don't want to,
Yeah, did that change his mind?
Mr. Practical.
Yeah.
The first person to have rubber boots next to his bed when he returned from Japan was Brad.
Wow.
And he's pulling his car in backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because just little things like that, why do you do this? It's a mental note to myself that something happens, I got to get out quick, or...
Okay. Functionally speaking, then.
Yes.
How much has the city paid, do you know? And altogether, will the city pay for officials to travel to Japan?
They've purchased tickets. I'm not sure what the totals were, but we budgeted up to $12,000.
Okay.
And we had budgeted that money already from last year for travel, any kind of travel that any of the council members needed to go. We go to seminars or down to Sacramento or whatever it is. So we weren't taking any money out of any pockets that it didn't already sit in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The money's already earmarked. It's already there. It's budgeted for that. And the excess, because people are throwing around the $45,000. That's spouses, other people. Some people are, and won't let it go. But all of that's like the spouses, other people going. They're all paying their own way. Right?
Yes.
So
the only public officials. So Japan paid for our first trip. Japan paid for all of the public officials to go over the second time. But anyone that brought their spouse, they paid for that.
Yeah.
They're incredibly generous. They put us up in a local hotel. They fed us. We did a homestay this last time, which was magical.
Oh, wow.
And so their community has extended hospitality to us that you don't see that here.
So regardless of the dollars then, what are the benefits other than filling your head with horror stories and keeping me up at night?
I'm sorry.
No, I was already doing that. I had Mary Dorman was on a couple of months ago, and we were talking about preparedness because I do.
Mary knows.
I realized that even in a 64 event, I'm just outside the run up. In something like what happened in Japan in 2011, then I'm underwater here. So I'm like, yeah, that's scary. And I'm thinking, where do I go? How do I get? What do I put the cats in? All of these crazy things.
Forget the cats.
I don't want to forget. I love the cats.
Forget the cats.
All right, I'll have to break the news to him later.
Meow.
You're on your own. Save yourself. So, other than just coming back with this sort of overall feeling, tsunamis are bad. What sort of benefits will Crescent City and Delaware County be able to garner from a relationship, from a sister community relationship?
What they have done there in their recovery is amazing. So, they, like I said, they have a different political structure, and so funding is very different for them. Rikuzen Takeda is so similar. We say it's eerily similar. They have, for example, U-turn kids. They're trying to U-turn their kids back to their community.
To stay in community instead of go. Wow.
Instead of go.
Yeah, okay.
So go get educated and come back and run things. Be be the ones that provide the services for the community. Well, we're doing that here. You know, we have our Health Career Pathways program. There's a scholarship mentoring program here. There's a lot of very generous people in this community that are offering scholarships to kids and saying, come back. You know, there are plenty of jobs in Del Norte County for those that go and get educated.
Okay. All right. So that's a similarity. So
major similarity.
That's. Are there other ways? I mean, whether it's in the recovery, in preparedness, in, you know, what other sort of benefits can the community get from this? What can we learn from the Japanese?
We can learn how to have conversations about preparedness, and we can have those conversations so that we prevent complacency. I don't know if you're aware, but in 2011, 2 days before their big tsunami, they had the alert system go off.
Yeah.
They had what was going to be a big wave come. And then it fizzled out. And they grew complacent. Oh, another one.
Wow.
Oh, that
really? And did that impact like the death toll and the subsequent tsunami then? People were just, I hear this all the time.
I'm verklempt.
Oh, wow.
It affected the death toll. 10% of their population's gone.
Yeah, and Chris Howard tells just a horribly touching story about the mayor and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He had been elected mayor 30 days
Wow.
before this event. So he'd barely gotten his feet wet on what it was like to be the guy in the hot seat for decision making. He'd probably just gone and met all the employees at City Hall, for God's sakes, by that point.
He's still learning names. You know?
Exactly. And so now they're thrust into this horrible situation. And so it was heartbreaking. And their safe zone turned out to not be the safe zone. And so the story, Chris will talk about the mayor, but the story that gets me, and just thinking about it, I start tearing up, is the elementary school. We stood right there in the safe zone. This is where they were supposed to go. And then just up this little hillside, literally, 50 yards away, 40 yards away, there's this cemetery, and it goes straight up the hill like this. And the administrators broke the rules, and they took all the kids, 400 kids, and they went up the hill to the cemetery. And had they not done that,
Wow.
they'd be gone.
Wow.
So all these kids, no coats, it's quite chilly outside. There's snow on the ground. And they're building little fires and huddling. They have no food or water or anything.
Oh my gosh!
So
How long were they there?
Overnight.
Oh wow! Wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
That's the one that just gets me.
Yeah.
Every time I think about it.
Oh man! Oh. What do you have a sense of how the folks in Japan view the sister city relationship?
So, as someone that has been involved with having exchange students, we had multiple exchange students when I was a kid. And then, I've lived in Japan. Brad was at Misawa Air Force Base.
Oh, wow. I spent the first 3 years of my life in Japan. My dad was
really?
he was at Yokosuka. Yeah.
Oh, Yokosuka. That's okay. Yeah. I know right where I've been to Yokosuka.
Oh, that's nuts. So you lived in Japan as an adult. You lived in Japan with married to Brad. Yeah. Wow. Oh, wow.
My son was born there.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah. He has a Japanese middle name.
Oh, neat. That's
Yeah, that's his little souvenir from the trip.
I have a cousin who was. I had an uncle who was also in the Navy at the time in Japan, and yeah, she's her name's Reiko.
Yeah,
that's her souvenir.
Right. But Japanese people love America. And they love all things American. So I think they looked at this as a wonderful opportunity for the exchange aspect. Learning about another culture is a bad thing, said no one ever. I mean, this is an opportunity for us to, yes, have those feel good moments and whatnot. But honestly, we have some incredible agricultural opportunities, trade opportunities. And this is just the first step. Mm-hmm. So this notion that we can Skype or send an email.
It would be pen pals, yeah.
Is more than just a little bit silly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It takes commitment, it takes investment, and it takes effort.
It's a relationship.
Yeah. And their indoor strawberries and tomatoes would just, it's unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
They've got little beehives inside these huge grow houses.
Oh, wow. So setting up kind of an ecology inside a hothouse.
It's quite impressive.
Wow.
It's quite impressive. They have these little domes that they grow mushrooms in. Mm-hmm. It's very dark and
mushroom dome.
It's very dark and lots of
fungal.
Moisture. Lots of moisture in there.
Don't say moisture. I'm sorry. This interview's over. You can't say moisture. No. Okay, well, all right. Well, thanks for defending that, and thanks for talking about the relationship. And yeah, I'm excited about that as well because I just like Japan. It's reassuring to me to know that Japan is still there. I like that. There's just
it's an amazing place.
Yeah, and it blows me. I mean, just the everything, just the scale, and maybe I have fond memories of like train stations and things from when I was a little kid. But metropolitan Tokyo has as many people as the state of California. Mm-hmm. That's just a wild thing. I'd love to go and see it at some point. So maybe we'll have a fundraiser and we'll send some community radio representation over there. Absolutely. They would, the music that you would play, there is a huge population in Japan that would just totally get off on you playing the Clash. Yeah, that's great. Cool.
Or whatever. They dig it.
Okay, so you show up. You said you're wearing the downtown diva hat.
Yeah, let me put my diva hat on.
The diva hat on. Okay. First off, before we drill down into today and what's happening today, just tell us about the divas. How long have you guys been around now?
Oh, my goodness. I think we're coming up. Well, this will be our third year in August.
Okay. And since you went nonprofit or since you formed?
Since we had our first live from downtown.
Okay.
So we formed, it's 3 years in April that we formed. Mm-hmm. And then April, May, June. August we did our first live from downtown.
Mm-hmm. And who are all the divas?
Okay, so our president is Billy K. Tigert, Gavin Tigert.
6 Degrees.
Yes, and let's see, our secretary is Sydney Clinton. Mm-hmm. Our vice president is Connie McDonald. Mm-hmm.
You're wearing one of her medallion things, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I got my chakras in line.
No, you got it all.
Okay, I've got my chakras. Yes, this is one of Connie's glass pieces.
I photographed some of those for her years ago with the photique. Those are very difficult to photograph.
I bet.
But they're beautiful.
They're pretty sparkly. And then we have Melanie Kime. She's our treasurer. And I am a board member. And Sherry Johnston is a board member.
Great. That's fantastic. And what you guys have done, it seemed like that first year, when you first started, because that was one of those rainy years, right? Yeah. It seemed like you had to do like 6-8 months before you got a clear Friday. And I was like, oh, man. Yeah. I was rooting for you against the weather.
Perseverance.
And you seem to have won out because today looks beautiful like that.
It is gorgeous out
there.
So yes.
And I know that you guys have been in the paper and people know about that, but just why? What brought you together and had you focus on this?
There's still some people that have never heard of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, there's still some people that have never heard of Live from Downtown. There's still some people that don't even know that we have a Wednesday farmers and artisans market.
Wow.
Yeah, believe it or not. But we're just going to keep plugging away.
Okay.
And doing that. I think the mastermind behind all of this.
Excellent, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing the finger thing.
Yes.
All right. Who is the mastermind?
That would be Billy Kay. And she has a wonderful vision for downtown. She is definitely a person that gives back to her community.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, the back of her building is full of prom dresses for the fairy godmother. And, you know, our little downtown, if I was to open a shop today, I think your old K-Fug spot, that's about the only open place downtown that I can think of.
Really?
Except for the Dailies building.
Well, but isn't the Dailies, all right, because it's not the... Right. The Dailies, but I keep wanting to put the LRT in there, but they're in the old Ben Franklin
They're
building,
in the
right?
old Ben Franklin.
Yeah. Wow.
If I wanted a little shop, let's say I wanted to sell some Japanese wares,
There you go.
you know, start this trade agreement, where would I go?
You know, I hadn't thought of that before. In my mind, and thank you for that. In my mind, you know, half of downtown's empty. Always, because that's how it's always been in my mind. But you're right. Now that I think about it, and just going down the streets there, what's still...
The Bank of America building is
that's
going to be our new
City
Hall.
What's going in the old city and City Hall right now? Honestly, it's the ugliest building in town.
It is.
It's the Fred Travalina of buildings. It's just such an 80s thing, and I'm like, oh, ouch. So I'm happy about you guys getting
It's not very welcoming.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a newcomer to town and you want to walk into your city hall and say, what you got?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't got nothing.
Now, in your defense, though, that's
Yeah.
every inch of that building seems to be used. So everybody's all like Rabbit
we're
Warren.
pretty squished in there, absolutely. But the greatest thing about moving to the Bank of America building is that it's one story.
Yeah, okay.
And when you have literally a staircase dividing people, it blocks communication. And just having that open vibe, I think it's gonna do wonders.
What's the timeline on that? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working
Last
on it.
I heard, it had been acquired. It was moving forward, and then
Yeah.
I hadn't heard anything since then. So
Well,
I'd like
we just hired a city manager.
well, good,
So-
Eric. Eric, get on that, would you?
Right? What have you been doing for the last 30 days?
Go
Good
engineer
Lord.
that. I just love that. Whenever he'd get up at the meetings and talk, I just tell me, because I'm interested in things like how a sewage trench is engineered and put in right down the middle of B Street and things like that. I used to love listening to that stuff. So again,
There's a lot to it.
so back
to the divas.
You're absolutely right, though, and I had not thought about that. It seems like occupancy is up in downtown. Wow.
We've got a new little toy store. We've got there's the video game Tsunami Games. Dean Valero just bought a florist. And so he's going to be doing floral arrangements now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he just bought the Enchanted Florist.
Oh, I did. Okay.
And he has that gorgeous little boutique right in between, next to his hair salon. And that's just I Street.
Yeah.
You want a crazy wig? Go into Beauty Secrets. She's got wigs
Really?
like crazy. You can go get a hot pink electric looking wig.
Oh, nice. I'll make a note of that.
I just, in case you need a pink wig for something. But there's a lot of stuff downtown that people just really don't realize is there, or they forget is there because we get busy or.
Or like me, I grew up with this vision of downtown as being half ghost town, and you're right. Now that I think about it, it's kind of changed.
And Daryl Winkleman has done wonders at Anateca with music, and my God, the man's got, I think, like 40 beers on tap.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of beer downtown.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah. And, it's your restaurant is kind of your anchor. And so if you have an open restaurant on the weekends, it brings people in. It really does. So we're really excited about that. And Sherry's, Johnston's Gift Garden and Home is just the most beautiful store ever.
I just would like to. I've gone in there a number of times with my daughters just to walk around and smell.
Yes.
Yeah.
It smells good.
It does. It really does.
Smells good.
So what brought the, was it different than 3 years ago? What brought the divas together to try to revitalize downtown?
I think it was just a lot of like-minded women,
Mm-hmm.
and Billy Kay invited a whole slew of women, and then a bunch showed up,
Mm-hmm.
and then less showed up, and we're kind of the ones that stuck around.
Okay.
And then, we're just having wine, just whining about stuff. And then because of who we are, our whining turned into, well, maybe we could do this, or maybe we could help here, or maybe... And those just kept turning into more and more. Okay, yeah. So next weekend we're going to meet up and we're going to pull all the weeds and clean this place up and get our farmers market downtown. That's how all this just, okay, and then let's do this. And, there's a lot of energy.
So what now? The Wednesday Farmers Market downtown, that was going, and then what? It lost funding, if I remember right.
No,
What happened with that?
It was done by the bid.
Right. Oh, right. And then the whole bid, getting rid of the bid and all of that thing. Gotcha.
And then the whole bid thing fell apart and was put down. And so...
Chris Howard's here with all the milk. He always shows up with a bunch of milk.
I love it.
I hadn't connected the demise of bid with the creation of the divas before.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And
okay.
Because we were able to form our 501c3 so quickly, we were actually able to get the initial farmers market seed money from what was left over in the bid, because the bid had run the farmers market previously.
Okay.
So we sort of took over all of that.
Okay. All right. So whose idea was it to do the First Friday thing? How did that come about?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry, you weren't prepared for the deep things. I
can't remember.
It's such a brilliant idea.
Probably Billy Kay. Probably. I mean, we want twinkle lights everywhere. We want glitter. That's all.
Okay, so we're going on, moving on. What, 3 years of the First Fridays?
Yeah,
right?
in August it'll be our 3rd year. So we're gonna have a big, huge blowout in September.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't want to compete with the fair in August. So we're gonna do our.
Smart. Okay, yeah.
Because we want everybody to feel, like they can come. We don't want them to feel torn. Oh, I want to go to the fair. Oh.
Yeah, and that would be the first Friday in August is the Friday the fair's going on. It's
Exactly.
a big day. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So we're gonna do it in September. There might be disco involved.
Thanks for the warning.
I'm just saying. There might be disco.
That's as far as the planning has gotten at this point. Is maybe
no.
disco. Oh, all right,
No,
you're just being cagey. Okay.
I'm being cagey.
All right. All right. Well, let's talk about today. What's happening down there today? So I've got the event up on Facebook right here, and I see that first off, the first annual Super Chili competition.
Yes. So we have. Of course, a lot of stuff going on. We've got Tsunami Lanes has their bowling down there. We have the Happiness Initiative with their labyrinth. We have a true artist, Bree Ellis. She's doing face painting for the kids. Oh, she's magical.
No, Bree's a talented woman, yeah.
And we've got food and beverage. Of course, we have Seaquake and Porto Pines and Kissy Cakes, Walk and Roll, Juanita's, Mambo's, Schmidt's House of Jambalaya. We'll have all those food and beverage vendors down there. We'll have all of our amazing artisans as well. Crescent City Rocks, All That Glitters. We're going to have an author downtown.
Yeah, I was reading about this, the book. Who was the author? Do you recall?
Susan, I'm going to totally butcher her last name. Tietjen?
And the book is about building healthy communities,
Yes.
and it's in not just in this community. Del Norte is part of the book, but it's in
part of the book.
A bunch of communities about
Yes.
that she wrote about.
And Tribal Waters, belly dancers. I mean, they're fabulous. And so there's a lot going on downtown. And then we have 13 chili competitors.
That's awesome.
I mean,
where's that going to be?
that,
Does it say?
well, we've placed them all throughout the downtown because,
So you spread them all around?
yes.
So the
and
judges have to go around too?
you're going to be the judge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're going to get a little chili passport. It's super cute. It's got this little superheroes, super chili. And there's 13 little chilies on there. And so you are going to take your passport that you've just purchased for $10 and you get to go sample 13 different chilies.
Ooh.
I mean, there's some vegan ones. There's Screamin' Eagle. So it's a chili verde and white bean.
Oh, wow.
Somebody's
That's
an Eagles fan. Chili Bang Bang. They've got chili. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Local Boys has a chili.
Okay.
Trying to think who else is doing chili.
But it's both local and from out of the area too? Do you have like
all local.
All local chili? That's wonderful. That's cool.
There's Rotarians that are going to make chili.
Oh.
Terry Ooster is part of that. Oh, that's right. The Forest Cafe. So Hannah Honer will be bringing up some chili from Klamath.
Wow! And so $10, you get this passport. You can go around. You get a sample at each of these chili vendors. Then,
Yeah.
correct? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And
it's
then
gonna be
so then what do you do? How do you decide?
So
who
you
wins?
get a ticket.
So-
you get one ticket. So you have to walk around and sample all these chilies, and then you're going to put your ticket in who you think is the winner. So you're the judge.
That seems like that just invites a lot of foul play. People are going to stuff the ballots.
Well, they're going to stuff the ballots if they buy extra tickets.
Okay. Oh, there. Oh, so
For their
you don't have to be just.
favorite.
Ah, so one ticket comes with the passport.
Yes.
So if you
If
okay,
you feel really, really good about,
and you got $50 to spare, you can drop 5 tickets on your
you
favorite
could
pay. Okay.
drop 5 tickets. I don't know how much the extra tickets are. I'm
Where do
not
you
sure.
where do you get the passports?
That will be available at right there on 3rd Street, kind of 3rd and I. There we have our Diva tent, and we'll have another tent for Super Chili. And you will recognize the fabulous Sydney Clinton. She will be in charge of Super Chili, and she'll have 2 great helpers, Sarah Carone and Kyle Clausen.
Okay.
And then as soon as I leave here, I'm headed to go make some sangria.
And we never saw her again.
And we never saw her again.
So sangria, what are you going to do with the sangria?
I'm gonna make a white sangria.
What's your sangria recipe? What are your?
It's citrusy.
Oh, okay.
And
All right.
It has vodka. Superfly, because I'm a shop local kind of girl.
Oh, there you go. Good. Local inspiration.
It does. It's got lots of citrus, lemon, lime, orange, and some bubbles.
Okay.
Can't have anything without bubbles, except maybe your Alexander milk.
Yeah,
you want bubbles in that.
Where's the carbonated milk line? Is that coming out? Yeah. Don't open that inside. Oh man.
So it's gonna be a great time.
That sounds like a fun time. Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's people that live here celebrating how great our community is, and that's the bottom line. We are currently fundraising for one cause. We've picked one.
Okay.
We've narrowed it down. We would like to put public restrooms downtown.
Oh wow. Wow. Yeah, that's
So
brilliant.
we had a fundraiser a couple weeks ago.
like the kiosks that you see in other
Yes.
towns. Yeah. Wow.
or
The fancy self-cleaning ones.
well, I don't know. If we have a really, really successful fundraiser,
then we could do
then maybe we could do that. We haven't put a budget on it, but yes, that's our fundraising goal.
Wow. That's really functional, practical. That's great. That just
Absolutely, and it's our way of giving back to the community. Just imagine the 4th of July parade downtown, all those little kids. They've just been sucking down, ices and sodas, and they got to tinkle. Where do you go?
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
walk them all the way to the park or the library. There aren't public restrooms downtown, and we do have functions downtown that we need them, like Sea Cruise and, you know, lots of things that have been going on for a long time.
And anything that might be in the offing in the future, too, to get people downtown. Yeah.
Exactly. It would just benefit everyone. So, and that's something that everyone that participates downtown can benefit from.
How are you fundraising for that?
Well, we had our paint and pour a couple weeks ago with Tiffany Brown from One Love Arts. And she did we asked her to do something different, not just, you know, I don't know how you would describe her what she does, the painting, but all I know is I have an American flag that looks better than Brad's American flag. If they're side by side. But, you know, it's like 4 colors and you paint everything blue and, you know, whatever. But, so I have several of those paintings. And so and lots of people are starting to collect them. So we asked her to do something new. And so you actually poured paint and then it had oil, and it just made these crazy sort of
I can see that, like the swirly patterns and things like
And then it spilled over the canvas into a tray, and so you took that whole thing home.
Wow!
So it was really fun.
Wow, that's neat. That's very cool. It was
different. So we did some fundraising for that. That was our primary goal for that event, and then just. Every event we do is for beautification downtown, and then our big bathroom goal.
That's wonderful. That's really forward-looking. Well, anything you'd like to add? We've got about 3 minutes now till noon.
I just want to thank you for having me on, and I want to thank you for finding your filter on Facebook and being positive.
Just gotta walk away.
Just gotta walk away.
I think I need to spend more time just going to different chili vendors, I think.
There you go. But inviting people to come out and participate in the process. We can't be on social media and we can't be speaking terribly to one another, because it's not about spending $12,000 on going to Japan for the city. It's about trying to get rid of 2 other people. It's trying to get rid of Chris Howard and Jerry Hemmingson, and that would not be a good thing for this community, in my opinion. But you know, we have to work together, not break each other apart. And so thank you for speaking about the power of positivity today.
Well, thank you for speaking with me about that. I'm going to try to internalize all of that, and even if it only gets me the chili this evening, that's all I ask for.
And tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and you're going to say at least one thing that you're thankful for.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
All right. Heidi Hufford, Kime, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Paul.